Good morning, my name is Alex. In this short video, I'd like to introduce you to Azure EmbodiedAI sample built for Unreal. This is still a work under construction, but I wanted to give you a quick glimpse of what's available and where this GitHub repository will be headed. So we built this repository for the Unreal game engine based on the success we had with the Azure EmbodiedAI sample built for Unity. And this is the original kind of parent sample that is using Unity and its Unity visual scripting framework to build nice and quick prototypes as well as production applications. So coming back here to Azure EmbodiedAI sample Unreal GitHub project, we basically took the same design example in Maya with the Clippy character. And then same ideas of providing information, the configuration information from outside. And then basically in here, in the sample, we implemented several core principles and several core ideas around consumption of any kind of web API. You can see this here. You got a sample, and if you go to public, you see all the header files for consuming web APIs, consuming Azure Speech SDK, being able to speak, being able to listen, then also consuming OpenAI APIs, namely ChatGPT as well as DALL-E. And then also there's a stub and a placeholder for the future intent recognition using LUIS or CLU in Azure, or maybe using OpenAI for intent recognition as well. And you can also see in private here, you can also see all the implementations of all of those different capabilities. And then noteworthy is that we used this Blueprint async action base class to build all of those implementations of different capabilities. So you will see, like when we get to a specific demo of how this works right now, you'll see how this manifests itself. And then we have references. For example, this is the C++ version of Azure Speech SDK, and this is the sample from which we derived the code to synthesize speech, for example. Similarly, if I go to private and listen, you'll see there's a sample for the basically speech recognizer. So this is how this is built in general. You will see in the future, you will see more documentation, more information about this template, and more code and some enhancements in the code base. But the framework is there, and we basically implemented the support of the cognitive services Azure Speech SDK version 1.26.0. If I go to Visual Studio, a second here, you'll see that we basically, this is how the implementation goes. And then in the build file for the Unreal project, which we began with the Blueprint Unreal project, and then we added custom classes, custom C++ classes, you will see that this is the way we added this C++ Azure Speech SDK. So basically it's three places that you have to be aware of. It's in third party under the sample extension of the C++ extension of the project. And then we have Azure Speech SDK include, which contains all of the different source files, as well as lib that contains the DLL, the core lib, I'm sorry. And then for the DLL, we also put the DLL into the binaries file. So you can find in the GitHub, you will find that binaries folder under the sample C++ project propagated with the DLL. This is how we implemented support of Azure Speech SDK in C++ inside of Unreal project. And this is unlike the way we installed Azure Speech SDK for Unity from the Unity package file, which was more like streamlined installation comparing to the installation in Unreal. So once this is all done, you can compile the project, and then ultimately you have like we have this project here. I'm using the modules, view, and then sample recompile, which means that like I very quickly can recompile my project. And then in the content drawer, you will see that there's an area for blueprint scripting. We have a material for DALL-E, so I'll be projecting all of the DALL-E generated images onto this plane inside of the level. We have the level here, which I'm displaying here. We have different materials just so we can properly paint Clippy character. Clippy character is not animated yet. Later on we can take care of that. And then we also have like this is part of different meshes for the Clippy character. We're using some of the starter content for the cube and for the plane, and the cube is largely not used, but the plane is used to render DALL-E images. So this is how this goes. And then ultimately, yeah, so in C++ classes, you will see public, you'll see all of the classes that I showed you in GitHub as well as in Visual Studio. So the last piece, which is the most important piece that brings this all together, is the level blueprint. And we're using blueprint nodes, and we basically have implemented all of the different nodes on the sample namespace, and you can see there's a sample intent, sample listen, sample OpenAI, sample speak, sample test, and sample web API. And you can see that as we begin play, like we start with the slight delay, which can be removed actually, and then there's a sample web API call that calls some dummy web API. And then we go into the speaking mode first, saying, hello, I'm Clippy, and so on. Then we listen. Based on what we listen, we recognize intent. Then we go into switch, and the switch basically shows us whether we go a ChatGPT route, DALL-E route, or just a generic route, which doesn't yield anything but goodbye. And then if this is about ChatGPT, then we go and ask a question about what would you like to know about, and then go down this route, which sets basically returns some information from ChatGPT and then speaks it out loud. Otherwise, if it's the DALL-E route and we're interested in visualizing something, we ask what would you like to see, and then listen to the prompt, submit this to DALL-E OpenAI API, and then render this image, as you can see right here, display that image as a dynamic material onto the plane. And then ultimately we gracefully exit with the saying enjoy and the print text. It's a simple finished. So let's see how this works quickly with those two examples, focusing on two flavors of OpenAI.
Hello, I'm Clippy. What can I help you with?
I'd like to chat.
What would you like to know about?
One sentence explanation of Azure Cognitive Search.
Azure Cognitive Search is a cloud-based search service that uses artificial intelligence to extract insights from structured and unstructured data. Enjoy.
Nice. So this is just a quick example of the ChatGPT API. Let's try the DALL-E. So here.
Hello, I'm Clippy. What can I help you with?
I like Salvador Dali.
What would you like to see?
A German Shepherd in style of Salvador Dali.
Enjoy.
And here you go. So with this, we just demonstrated how we can put together a system using blueprints inside of Unreal Engine and make interesting scenarios possible for your embodied AI needs. Thank you.